All right, welcome to the show. This is Christopher Gelson with Protect Your Children Incorporated. First thing you'll notice is you don't get to see my lovely mug. That's correct. You don't get to see my lovely mug tonight. But that's because I wanted to, number one, have full screen because we're going to be sharing a lot of information tonight on the Zachary Bernhardt missing child case. And I need all the screen. You don't need me on there getting in the way of all these beautiful pictures of Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt. This is a tough segment. This is a tough show to do. Protect Your Children Incorporated has been investigating non-law enforcement, of course, but for about 3 years now, 3.5 years, investigating this case. And we've talked to hundreds of people. We've had probably 300 comments on different posts that we've done. We've done probably 30 videos on YouTube and other social media sites. Tracked down a bunch of leads. We've hit some brick walls. We've had some breakthroughs. And we're not going to have time to get into all of that tonight. But, excuse me, wanted to give everybody an update. There are some new listeners and new watchers of this show that do not know about Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt and don't know about his story. And so this is a good opportunity to get that out there, get his story out there. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. It's been 24 years, almost 24 years. It'll be 24 years in September. And immediately people go, oh, forget it, man. He's probably dead. It's been 24 years. Never going to come back. You won't find him, right? Because that's kind of the default position for people. But we have run into some facts and some testimony from people and other things that lead us to believe that Zachary is still alive and that he may actually not be too far from home. Interesting enough. And we're going to tread lightly tonight because we're not going to accuse people of anything. Certainly we could get in trouble for that, but we're going to let our opinions known. And Marie T, who's in the chat, she's our co-director. We've just looked into this case profusely, and she has some pretty strong opinions as well on what happened to Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. I hope everybody can hear me okay out there. Like I said, no video of me tonight, but certainly we're going to try to get you as much stuff as we can in a little bit of time that we have. So let me know if you can hear me okay out there. Looks like everything's good on our end. So with that, let me introduce you to our website. Yes, our website. And sound is great, Marie says. Thank you very much. So, of course, this is our website, protectyourchildren.org, protectyourchildren.org. You can find a lot of stuff here. We want to direct your attention to this in-depth protection packet right here. We have seen a lot more downloads on that recently, and we're very happy about that because that means parents are getting educated, kids are getting protected. This in-depth protection packet is a summary of what's taught at our conferences that we hold online and also in the community. It is jam-packed with education, awareness, and like I always say, it's not your mama and papa's, one-liners, okay? This isn't just, if anybody touches you in a way that you don't like, you let me know. Okay, Mom, right? Because that's not enough, okay? This in-depth protection packet contains everything that kids need to know to be safe online and in the community, including profiles of predators, warnings and lookouts for parents, for kids, how to stay safe online. All of that great stuff is in our in-depth protection packet right here on our website, protectyourchildren.org. Tips on preventing kidnapping, just all sorts of great information and education to help keep your kids safe. So please visit our website, protectyourchildren.org. All our live shows are right here. The podcasts are available on our website by clicking here. They're right there. Listen to our weekly live show. All the live shows are there. We might be delayed about a week or two, but we're getting there. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, guess what's coming? The first week of June. And the first week of every month, we send out a newsletter jam-packed with education and awareness and updates on what we're doing, updates on the organization, all that good stuff. So if you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, please do that by clicking here and send us your email address. We will not spam you and we will not share your information. So subscribe to our monthly newsletter. All our social media right there, Facebook, our Facebook group, our page, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Rumble, all of them are linked right here. So please, if you haven't followed us or liked us, do it now. Go right for it. We'll be here. We won't go nowhere. We'll wait for you. All right. Also, we have merchandise. Yes, we have, look at this. We got hoodies. We've got coffee mugs, cups, hats, all sorts of great stuff with our logo on it. Every little bit of profit, which is a couple of bucks, goes back to the organization. So you can check that out by visiting our website and all that stuff. So tons of stuff on our website, protectyourchildren.org. All right, let's see. Let me let's jump into this. Let's jump into our hero segment real quick. We're gonna, I hate to say get that out of the way because that's kind of, sounds kind of mean, but we got a great hero segment. And as you know, each week we do a hero kid segment to highlight an awesome child in a community who has done a heroic deed, whether it's helping others, saving others' lives, putting others before themselves, all that stuff, as a reminder of how great kids are. Kids have awesome hearts. They are great kids until they get screwed up. Let's just put it that way. Until they get messed up by people and by things, then their lives start to go into a tizzy. So we want to protect them at all costs. And tonight's hero segment starts right now.
A quiet Sunday playing video games is possible for these friends after they avoided tragedy while celebrating 8th grade graduation on this pond in Pelham the day before.
Went out to swim. Before that I went fishing, and then that's about all we had time to do before apparently I passed out.
He's not someone who'd joke about something like that, so I knew something was wrong.
Matthew Brooks suffered a seizure while swimming.
I noticed that his eyes went to the top of his head.
His best friend Ethan Gary yelled out for help and jumped into action until an older boy made it into the water to help.
I kind of just went under and held him up for as long as I could until he came over and helped me lift him onto the raft.
Matthew remembers waking up in the ambulance. Doctors told his parents if it weren't for Ethan, Matthew might not have made it.
I didn't really know. I was just thinking all I had to do was help Matthew.
It was a good thing for him to do. I thanked him a lot for that.
Matthew's mother says their only other experience with a seizure was when Matthew was a toddler.
But they said it was isolated because he had had a fever. He was sick and his fever just spiked too quick.
The mothers of these two boys are relieved to tell a story with a happy ending, both proud of what is sure to be a lifelong friendship.
A good friend. He was protecting a good friend.
I don't really know how to express my gratitude in words for Ethan, but I mean, he saved my son's life. So, I just thought he deserved some recognition because he really is a hero.
Matthew's mom says they'll be keeping an eye on his health. Both boys are looking forward to starting high school together in the fall. Reporting in Pelham, Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
That's what we love to hear. Brave, courageous, in the face of potential tragedy, doesn't even hesitate, knows what he has to do, goes right to work, and saves his friend's life. These are great kids. I'm telling you, kids are awesome. And we have to protect them at all costs. Because once they experience a trauma in their life, it has the potential to destroy their life and send them down some paths that, well, some frankly never get over, right? And we want to protect the goodness and the love that kids have. And that's why we do what we do at Protect Your Children Incorporated. And that's why I'm sure you're listening, because you like to protect kids as well. And you want kids to be safe. You want your own kids to be safe, your grandkids to be safe, your nieces and nephews to be safe, your neighbors' kids to be safe, your kids' schoolmates to be safe, right? And how we do that is how we raise awareness. We get educated. We raise awareness. We open up people's eyes to the dangers of predators that are all over the freaking place in our schools, in our churches, in our after-school programs, in our communities, online, everywhere. And there's no reason to be like we always say, wrap your kid in bubble wrap and throw them in a corner. There's no reason to do that. But you can educate them, you can teach them, and then you can be nosy, keep your eyes open, and be nosy, randomly nosy. That's how you keep tabs on what your kids are falling into, because the traps are aplenty. Plenty of traps out there. So that's our hero segment. And we're always excited to bring those to you guys. So let me check the chat real quick. Marie T is in there, rising on eagle's wings. And nobody else. Where is everybody tonight? Well, we got a bunch of people watching online still, though, and other platforms on YouTube and Facebook. Glad that you are here for that. Unfortunately, if you're on Rumble or Twitter or Instagram, we cannot see your comments, but YouTube and Facebook we can. So please comment away. Comment away. And we'll read your comments, of course, on the air. So thank you in advance for that. All right, let's look at this sicko teacher. This is so twisted right now. We've heard about teachers abusing kids, but this woman was teacher of the year. She was teacher of the year. She ends up getting arrested and convicted of abusing a 12-year-old boy at her home, tutoring sessions, as she called them. And wait till you hear how she tried to explain to prosecutors and to the judge what she was really doing. She wasn't really hurting the kid. She was helping the kid. Yes, helping the child. And, you know, a lot of sick predators believe they are actually helping children. This is no joke. I'm not talking about the ones that kidnap a child, beat them, and, you know, RAPE them. But you talk about these groomers, you know, these ones that claim to be friends and they claim to care, right? And they actually think that they're helping a child out somehow. And it's twisted psychology. But this teacher, man, let me tell you something. She's a twisted mess. But let's check this out. She gets 38 years in state prison, which, hey, listen, you did it, you get it. Here we go.
Once honored as Teacher of the Year, now must serve 38 years in a Florida state prison.
You, Ms. Anderson, are a parent's worst nightmare.
A jury convicted 31-year-old Ethel Anderson of 9 counts of molesting a 12-year-old boy. Anderson tutored him at her home. Our affiliate, Bay News 9, is reporting she said the sexting and touching were all part of a sexual therapy to help the boy deal with problems at school. Through sobs, she pleaded for mercy during her sentencing Monday.
Despite what the court might see, I'm not a sexual predator. I don't present a threat to our society. I'm a mother. I'm not a monster. I truly wish that none of this had ever happened, because all I want is to go back to being Isabel's mom. This is not my life. I keep praying that God's plan in all this was to show me who and what I do have, so that I appreciate my life more, to show me that my life does have purpose. I shared all this with you, Judge, in the hope that there must be something that you can see in me. There must be something that shows that I'm worthy of mercy.
But the judge says Anderson groomed that little boy after prosecutors showed 230 explicit texts between Anderson and this child. His mother also spoke to the court through a letter the prosecutor read.
I know that the law will take care of you the way you need to be dealt with. There were many times during this trial I wish I could have gotten up from my seat to scream, yell, or slap you. I feel like I could tear you apart with my bare hands, but those who know me know that I would never do that. I do not know how somebody like you was allowed to be near children. You have turned me into a very angry and cynical mother.
Anderson is married. She has a 6-year-old daughter. Her attorney plans to appeal the sentence.
You believe this? And the crazy thing is she said that she was giving him therapy. Yes, the grooming, the texting, the abuse was actual therapy to help him with school because he was having behavior problems. You see the twistedness there? She says, I'm not a monster, I'm a mother. Really? And a mother does that to a 12-year-old boy? as she weeps and sobs. But she was helping him, she says. This is the kind of evil that we're dealing with, folks. This is the kind of evil that's out there. It's really out of control. And Marie T says it's disgusting. She's a monster. There you go. It's unbelievable. But this, and you notice something, folks. It's a female. Okay. Now, why do I point that out? Because the stats have always been that it seems to be always men that are hurting kids. But we are seeing an increasing over the last probably 7 years or so, an increasing amount of female teachers that are abusing students. So this is not just a male thing. It's not just a female thing. It's not just a married thing or a single guy thing. It's not a straight thing or a gay thing. This is an evil thing. And it's affecting all people. And when they get this in their heads, there's no stopping them. Like last week, we brought you the story about the guy who gave a girl a phone charger to plug into the wall. And it had a hidden camera in it. And he had all these videos and pictures of this girl in her bedroom. I mean, what do you say? It's evil and it's out of control. But this is the kind of sickness that's out there. So it's unbelievable. But she was helping him, by the way. She was helping him. Yeah. Okay. All right. Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt. I want to tell you right off the bat that there are tons of missing children out there. And we've been asked several times about why we are primarily focusing on this case. And I want to quickly lay out the reasons for that. First and foremost, it's right in our backyard. Protect Your Children is based in Tampa, Florida. This happened in Clearwater. We remember when it actually happened. We remember the flyers. We remember the police, the news coverage, taking part and helping to look for him. It touches the heart. It's close to home, right? That's part of it. Another reason is that someone connected to the organization actually had a run-in with the mother back about 3 days after Zach went missing. Now, he was 8 years old, and they had a run-in with her in front of their apartments where he was supposedly taken from. And his mother, Leah, wasn't quickly able to be found among the crowd. And so the person had driven up there with a couple of friends in the car, and they wanted to give the mother a poem and a card, and say, hey, we're praying for you, praying for Zach. And they asked for Leah. They said, is Leah here? And the report says that Leah came hustling up from a couple rows back and literally said, here I am. Like, almost excited. And it was like, your 8-year-old just went missing. And you come up excitedly to a car, almost like, what do you got for me? Like she was soaking up the attention. And when the people drove off, they got to the end of the parking lot. And they all looked at each other and they said, was that the weirdest thing ever? And they all agreed it was. And the two lines of thought were either she's a complete psychopath, or two, she's not worried one bit about him because he's okay. Because her reaction was not of a scared, grieving, crying mother whose son was just taken out of her bed, by the way, we'll get into that, at 4 a.m, upstairs in her room. It was almost jovial, which has never, ever gotten out of the minds of a lot of people. And then as Protect Your Children started investigating this, we're in communication with a member of the family who will remain anonymous. And we gained a lot of insight to what was going on in the family at the time. And that just led to more suspicions. Suspicions that indicate that maybe he wasn't actually taken out of the house. Suspicions that maybe he hadn't been in the house actually for a day or two. Suspicions that maybe the kidnapping was a hoax for attention and money. Suspicions that some members of the family didn't want him with Leah because she wasn't taking care of him. So it was arranged to have him taken from her, maybe temporarily, and things went wrong. There's a lot of different scenarios of what could have taken place. But I can tell you that it was not as straight as the news reports it. So how does the news report it? The news reports it as Leah worked nights. She was off the night of September 11th in the year 2000. Yep, 1 year before 9/11. And that she couldn't sleep. And so the original story was that she got up to take the trash out and was gone 5 minutes. And then it was she went for a walk. And then it was that she went for a swim at 4 a.m. in her apartment complex. And she says she jumped in, swam one side of the pool to the other, came home, went upstairs, took a shower, came out of the shower. Zach was missing off of her bed, upstairs in her room. That story, in our opinion, is so cockamamie. It just doesn't make any sense. And the police in Clearwater have even said as much. There's a lot of unanswered questions. Leah, the mom, stopped cooperating not long after he disappeared. She up and moved away. She got married, changed her name, changed her phone number, which is the last thing you do if your child was to ever escape from their captive. They're never going to be able to find you now. But all these things were just like, something's not right here. And then as we talked to this member of the family, gave us more insight. We talked to former babysitters of Zach. We talked to former co-workers of Leah. And things just don't make sense. And when you have a case like this where people are still praying and people are still donating money and people are still making videos and podcasts and doing live shows like this, and they're literally still sad and weeping over the missing of this beautiful child, it makes you angry. It makes me angry. Because somebody knows more. In our opinion, and we're not accusing, but in our opinion, some of the family members know more. Leah knows more. And they're not talking about it. And the more they stay quiet, then the more Zach stays missing. And people cannot have any peace or closure here. And if there's members of the family that don't really know what happened, think about what they're going through. Every birthday, every Christmas, every holiday. In some cases, every day. Because this little boy, who's now a man, 31 years old, and it's all because people won't speak up. And I'll tell you what, that makes us want to continue to search for him and to offer help to him. We have reason to believe that Zach may have actually seen some of the videos that we posted. We ain't got time to get into all that tonight. But at the end of this broadcast, I'm going to show you our page on YouTube. There's a page on YouTube, a playlist that has all the videos, including all of the information we've uncovered so far, almost all of it. And you'll see some of the reasons we believe what we do. But this boy didn't just get plucked out of his mother's bed randomly at 4 o'clock in the morning and was never seen, ever heard from again. I mean, if that happened, then that's the craziest set of coincidence, circumstance I've ever heard. Not to mention the fact they had a dog. They had a dog in their apartment. And as you can see from the picture on the screen, there's the police, and they're bringing bags of quote-unquote evidence, which all these bags of evidence apparently turned into nothing. That's another story. Like, did the police fail here? They brought out all these bags of evidence. They say that the DNA found at the apartment was not out of the norm for what should be found, but of course they don't say whose it was. But yeah, like Marie said, the dog was not barking. And there was a neighbor who was Zach's former babysitter. We spoke with her, and she was up that night. The night that Zach apparently went missing, she was up into the wee hours of the early morning on September 11th. They were having a birthday party for her boyfriend, big barbecue outside. There were lots of people that were there late. She didn't smoke in her house, so when she came outside to smoke, she could be in direct view of Zachary's apartment, direct view of Leah's car. And she reported that the car was not there several times throughout the night. And then she reported when the car got back, which was around 4:30 a.m., she says, because she was seeing off her boyfriend. That Leah's car got back at 4:30 in the morning, and at 4:47 a.m. in the morning is when she called 911 to say her son was missing. So what is that? Was she out all night? Left her son alone? And he went missing hours before? Did she bring him somewhere and dropped him off and then claimed that he was kidnapped? Well, I mean, there's so many questions. But this child's life was destroyed at 8 years old because of some decisions that people made. Decisions that his mother made. And his life was turned upside down, and he's never gotten it back. And that's what angers us. That's why we keep searching. That's why we will continue to search. And we'll continue to ask the questions, continue to raise awareness. We are not giving up on Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt. We don't care if he's 31 years old now. If he's still alive, you know what? He deserves to have a life. And if he's living under an alias, or he's messed up from what he's been through, or he can't find his way back to reality, we don't know what the case is. But he deserves help. This precious boy did nothing wrong. And his whole life was destroyed. And no one has been held accountable for it. And yeah, that makes me angry. So we will continue to use the resources we have. The donations that people can send in to help us locate him, which you can do on our website. There are a lot of people that remember Zachary. They remember the story. And we know that people quickly want to say, oh, the mom killed him. I mean, that's everybody's like default thing. Oh, the mom must have killed him. She covered it up. Well, you know what? We don't have any evidence of that. In fact, we have evidence that counters that, which we're going to get into here. I want you to look at the screen. 8 years old when he went missing. Age progression to 23. His mother's down on the lower corner. The blonde. Look at that. Living her life. Smiling away. Doesn't talk about him. Doesn't go online. Doesn't meet with the press. Doesn't communicate with the police. And some might say, well, it's been so long, she just kind of had to accept the fact that he's gone and she's living a life that Zach would be proud of. Sure, that's possible. But I don't know how you get over that. In the 911 call, which we'll listen to here in a minute, you'll hear that she left the apartment. The final story was she left the apartment to go for a quick swim at 4 o'clock in the morning. She didn't lock the door. She didn't grab a towel. She didn't wear a bathing suit. In fact, she told the police, and we'll hear it right from their mouths, that she doesn't even like to swim. She doesn't like to swim. She doesn't even know why she did it. She just had an impulse to jump in the pool and go for a quick swim at 4 o'clock in the morning. She gets back in the house. It's cold in the house. So she goes to take a warm shower, which means she had to walk past her bed because upstairs in the master bathroom, which is connected to the master bedroom, she would have had to walk past Zach laying in the bed sleeping, which is where she said she put him to sleep. She gets in the shower, she gets out of the shower, and all of a sudden, he's not there. So that means somebody, in the few minutes apparently that she was gone, went and found the door unlocked, got past a barking dog, up the stairs to her room, got Zach, got him out of the house without him waking up or screaming, without the dog making any kind of noise, and got him into a vehicle or something, all within the few minutes that she claims to be gone. Is it possible? Sure. I mean, if somebody was stalking her and watching the apartment and just waited for her to leave and then took a chance and it just so happened she left the door unlocked, I guess it's possible. But it's also possible that that's not the story, that there's more to it. This website is the Charlie Project. They've been doing a lot of great awareness on kids that are missing. And this is just a summary of what's happened with him. Missing since 9/11, Clearwater, Florida. His classification is endangered missing. December 18th, 1991 is his date of birth, 8 years old when he went missing. Apparently was wearing boxer shorts. Again, this is according to the mother. Zachary is a Caucasian male, blonde hair, blue eyes. He's got a scar under his chin. He's got one in between his eyes and on the bridge of his nose. And on the right side of his upper lip. His nickname is Zach, and some agencies may refer to him as Zachary Michael Bernhardt. You see the picture there where the cut was in between his eyes. Don't know how that happened. It's a very strange case. It's a very strange case indeed. And we want to continue to raise awareness about this because there are people that know something. It doesn't matter that it's been 24 years. Okay? There are people still alive that may know what happened. Even if it's anonymous, somebody's got to come forward. If they don't want to come forward to the police, they can come forward to us. Send us an anonymous email, text, whatever. Just say, hey, you might want to look in this direction. Something. Because people know what happened to this boy. And like I said, the first thing is that people want to write him off as dead because it's been so long. But let's look at some of the stories. Right? Remember the 3 girls in Ohio some years back? How long were they kept? And they were found. There's been kids found after 15 years. There was a boy who realized he was a missing child when he went to apply for college. And there was some mix-up with his social security number. And he's like, what are you talking about? And from that, he realized that, well, he was taken when he was a little boy. He never even knew it until like 18 years later. So don't tell me there's no hope. Whatever condition Zachary's in now, he still can be found. And hope never dies. And he can still be helped. But it takes for people not to give up. Clearwater police have given up, okay? The FBI, they're not looking for him anymore. Just like so many hundreds and thousands of other kids. And you know what? This is not considered a cold case. According to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, this is still an open case. It's not a cold case. Now, you would think an open case would be worked, but they're not working this case. Now, they'll tell you if somebody calls in with a tip, they'll follow it. But there's no detective sitting there working on this case. Let me tell you something, and we're not being cocky here as an organization, but we have done more to locate Zach in the last 3 years than the police have done in the last 15. We've been all over social media. We've talked to the babysitters. We've talked to family members. We've talked to the public. We've talked to Leah's former co-workers. We were doing work down in Mexico, for crying out loud, getting leads all over the place on sightings there. We're doing more than the police are even doing because they've kind of let it go now. Trisha Trill. Come on, Zach, we need to know. She used to go to Joe Dugan's in Clearwater. We just want to know you are safe. Exactly. And we've talked, oh my gosh, the reports. Now look, Leah's lifestyle was no secret. 6 days before Zach went missing, Leah got the eviction notice on her door. She was being evicted, and I believe that was like the 8th or 9th place in Zach's young life, right? He was only 8. But they kept getting evicted. Leah couldn't hold a job. She struggled with drug addiction, alcohol. We've heard reports from tons of people on that. And she gets the eviction notice, and we verified that. It's filed with the state. And then 6 days after that, Zach ends up disappearing. Well, Leah gets to stay in the apartment a little bit longer. She gets tons of donations, money, gifts, media attention. The whole nation's gripped. The timing's a bit weird, if you ask us. She's about to get evicted. They had no place to go. And we know this from the family member that we spoke with. Where were they going to go? They didn't know. But it's no secret that Leah used to drink and party and go out all the time. Question is, what was happening with Zach during that time? Who had access to him? Was he left alone? It's all those questions that need to be answered. This video is from Investigation Discovery. It's called Gone in an Instant. Don't want to get copyrighted on this, but we're going to be stopping and starting it. But I want you to watch this carefully. This is very powerful. It's easy for me to say. Investigation Discovery. Let's check it out.
Somebody can't just vanish into thin air. It doesn't happen. Not for this long.
All right, hang out 1 second there. Didn't look like it was streaming on the screen there. Not sure why, but let's try that again. All right. Let's try that again.
Somebody can't just vanish into thin air. It doesn't happen. Not for this long.
An 8-year-old boy goes missing from his home in the dead of night.
They just said that they couldn't find him, and they were sending out search teams.
But family and law enforcement refuse to give up.
It's like a puzzle, but we were missing lots of pieces.
September 10th, 2000. 8-year-old Zachary Bernhardt has just come home to his mother, 29-year-old Leah Hackett, after playing with neighborhood children. It's just Leah and Zachary living together in the 2-bedroom apartment.
They loved each other a lot. With her being single, all they had was each other. They're like best friends too. But when she had to be a parent, she was a parent.
He's a fun-loving kid, adventurous, kind, caring. He's always been that way. A sweet boy.
And this is my perfect shirt.
But on this Sunday, Leah has the night off, so it's just the two of them as they settle in for a mother-son evening.
On your night off, you do not go to sleep. You don't change your body in a click. You're used to being awake. And she would go downstairs and watch TV or read.
Leah is wide awake for hours.
At some point in the morning, she decided to go to the pool. Just prior to leaving, she puts eyes on Zachary to make sure he's still sleeping, which he was in her bed. And then she goes downstairs and exits the apartment. She tells us that she swims from one side to the other. She didn't have anything with her. She didn't have a towel. She didn't have a bathing suit, just what she was wearing. And then she exits the pool, goes back home. She goes back upstairs and enters the apartment. When she enters her apartment.
All right. I want to share something real quick. The actual story goes that she made him his favorite meal. They watched movies together. They had the perfect night. And he just wanted to sleep in her bed with her that night because they had such a beautiful night, right? You ever notice how it's always laid out that way? You know, the night before a child goes missing, it's always like it was the perfect little family. You know? And like Carol Bernhardt said there, and that's her mother. Oh yeah, you don't go to sleep at night when you work nights. Of course not. You know, you mess up your whole schedule. Okay, so she's up all night, but she has this beautiful night with Zach and then just randomly decides to jump in the pool at 4 a.m. Now, we've been to the complex. We spoke to residents. We spoke to the office people. According to them, that pool locks at 10 p.m. every night. Now, does that mean that somebody couldn't have left it unlocked and didn't do their job? It's possible, right? But it's very, very strange and odd to have somebody jump in a pool in an apartment complex at 4 o'clock in the morning, especially with no towel, no bathing suit, no nothing. It's very strange. So let's jump back in.
And she says that it's cold inside. She keeps the air pretty cool in the apartment. So she immediately wanted to go take a warm shower.
At 4:30 a.m. on September 11th, 2000, Leah walks out of her shower to find her life forever turned upside down. Zachary is gone.
911, what is your emergency? I can't find my son. I went to the pool and then I came back and I got a good shower and then he wasn't here. Okay. Your door was unlocked, ladies. It was unlocked. This is my fault.
So, of course, the officers responded. They immediately start conducting a search, establishing a perimeter.
The search for Zachary has begun. But the area around his home is full of the woods, wetlands, and waterways Florida is famous for.
It's not real. This is not happening. There's no way that a child just goes missing and you can't find them.
Detective Slaughter knows that family members are often involved in missing children cases. So one of his first questions for Leah is, where is Zachary's father?
When they did break that news to him, he did not appear to be wanting to be involved. He was nowhere near the state of Florida during this time period, and they confidently ruled him out as being anyone that could be involved in this case.
Okay. All right. Here's a big question that the public has, and we have as well. Did they verify, like through DNA or birth record, something that this guy was actually Zach's father? Or did Leah just spit out a name? Oh, it's Joe Schmo. Oh, where's he live? Oh, he lives over here in Michigan. All right, we'll contact him. Joe Schmo says, yep, not interested. Didn't even know I had a son. I'm up here in Michigan. Here's my work number. Here's my friend's house. Okay, you're ruled out. I mean, how much investigation actually went into that? Right? And we have located Zach's actual father. We can't get into how we got a hold of that information, but we know who he is and where he's at. He's got a family of his own. But have the police really looked into that? Or they just took Leah's word for it about who Zach's father was? That's always a question that's been on my mind and a lot of people's minds for years. You know, it's Joe Schmo. All right, cool. You know, that can't be ruled out. Especially if the possibility of a hoax took place where they wanted to make it look like Zach had disappeared for a while and then maybe would be found again, you know. But again, who knows?
The circumstances of Zachary's disappearance are just not adding up.
Clearly, with the statements provided, everyone has questions. For no reason, 4 a.m, coming out of residence, not locking the door behind her with her child home alone, to go to a swim, no towel. In fact, her statements were she doesn't know why she did that, and she doesn't even like swimming. There was no reasonable explanation for some things.
As more time goes by and the search for Zachary winds down, Leah seems to disappear from the spotlight.
Leah Hackett eventually moved away and at some point made a decision that she wasn't going to participate anymore.
Detectives continue to work Zachary's case, but there are few developments. Then, on New Year's Eve 2001, another terrifying crime is committed at the apartment complex. But this time, there are witnesses. 3 young boys are at the playground in the Savannah Trace apartment complex when a truck pulls up. A man gets out of the vehicle and offers the children ice cream. One of the boys, a 5-year-old, approaches. The boy is returned to his grateful family. He gives a basic description of his abductor, a white male with dark stringy hair.
And that gave us a lot of hope because we thought that they could track that guy and be able to connect maybe to Zachary.
A while back, we had the mother of that boy, the second boy, on the live show. And she was brave enough to come on and tell the story. And she's been very helpful with sharing information to help us decide if we think that the two cases are connected. And we think there's a possibility of a connection there. Now, they are very different cases because, of course, Zach's apparently was in the middle of the night, no witnesses, out of nowhere. The other one was at the park in daylight with witnesses around. Definitely a different MO. But the description that her son gave police and stands to it today. And by the way, her son is still messed up, as you can imagine. We're, thankful that he's alive. But he has a very clear image of what the man looked like. And the description of the vehicle was a white pickup truck with ice cream symbols on the side of it. And we did some digging through the news archives, and we found that there was a man who drove a white pickup truck with ice cream symbols on the side of it, who was arrested for taking pictures and videos of kids at a nudist place down here in Florida, not far from Clearwater. And when we looked up the arrest record of that man, black hair, very similar to the description that the police released of the man that took the second boy. Is there a possible connection between that man and someone else we're about to tell you about that it was reported that Zach was staying with back in 2018? It's a possibility. But it just seemed very strange. There's no kidnappings that had taken place at that complex prior. And then there was Zachary, and then a year later, the second boy, and then none again after that. Very, very strange.
Zachary's case still looms over the Clearwater Police Department.
Like I tell him, 16 years later, isn't it time to look for a different angle?
But everyone agrees that there are answers out there.
Somebody can't just vanish into thin air. It doesn't happen. Not for this long. Somebody knows what happened to my cousin. Somebody has the answers. Why they won't come forward, I don't know. But somebody knows something, and we'll find out.
If you have any information about the disappearance of Zachary Bernhardt, please contact the Clearwater Police Department at 727-562-4200.
Very odd, very strange pieces missing there in that story. Marie T made a great point that Leah, we heard this from family member, that Leah had made a call to a distant friend in the early morning hours before she even called 911. And that's proven. How odd is that? Like, she's calling somebody who lives far away to apparently come help her find her son before she calls 911 a short time after that. Also, after she called 911, apparently she went to the neighbor's house, which was another babysitter. There was multiple, and asked if Zach was there. This was after she called 911. This doesn't make any sense. You check those places first, you would think, right? But with the neighbors saying that her car was missing, then her car returned, she makes this call to a distant friend when she realizes he's missing, and then all of a sudden she calls 911. Does that make any sense? So what are we getting from this? Yeah, Leah knows more. She absolutely knows more about what happened that night, and she's not telling anybody. Now, there might be multiple reasons for that. Not that any of them are okay. Protecting herself, maybe protecting family members, maybe protecting Zach. Who knows? But the longer she stays quiet, if he really is missing, then the longer she stays quiet, there's like a 0% chance he's going to be found, because she may have the information that can help people find him and give him back some kind of a life before it's too late. That was an episode called About a Boy, Investigation Discovery. Very good. Very well done. Kevin Jalbert was a guy who was arrested because he was making a lot of claims that he was kidnapping young boys and doing the R word to them and then killing them. He was going around telling people that this is what he was doing. And so the police set up a sting operation. Basically, they had an undercover detective befriend this guy, Kevin Jalbert, his name is, and was talking with him You put his picture up on the screen. This looks like a wacko. There's Kevin Jalbert right there, arrest photo. So this guy, the police end up meeting up with him, and they're talking with him, and detective is undercover driving around with this guy. And this guy drives to the Savannah Trace apartments, and he tells the detective that he kidnapped a boy from there. And the detective basically said, "Oh man, that's awesome. Which apartment was it?" And apparently he picked out the wrong apartment. And he also couldn't describe what Zach was wearing the night that he went missing. Now, of course, they're going off of what the mother was saying Zach was wearing, right? So a lot of people say Kevin Jalbert may have actually been stalking Leah, watching Zach, waiting for an opportunity for her to leave. Now the police went to his house. They got a search warrant, of course. They went through his computer. They found child images, we'll say. And he was ultimately arrested for a whole lot of things. I think he's doing like 40 years or something. There were several polygraphs taken in connection to Zachary Bernhardt. It's very confusing on what actually happened. There's reports that said that he passed it, and there's reports that say that he didn't. One weird thing about Kevin Jalbert is that the police found a receipt in his truck for a landfill that he had visited 2 weeks after Zach disappeared. Of course, this was sometime after Zach was gone. But the police went and they looked at the landfill apparently, and no evidence of Zach at all. But of course, I guess there wouldn't be months later. And one might look at that and say, well, that is kind of weird. The reports are that Kevin Jalbert lived in Savannah Trace Apartments. I can tell you that we have not found anything to indicate that he lived in Zach's apartment complex. He may have been living with someone else, but through backgrounds, which we do, by the way, for free on our website, you can send us the information. We do background checks. And there's nothing that indicates that he lived at Savannah Trace. But nonetheless, he was definitely a wacko. And he's off the streets, hopefully, until he dies. So that's the Kevin Jalbert angle. Now, we would say to people that think that Kevin Jalbert took Zachary and killed him and then brought him body to a landfill, we would say to them, well, if that's the case, then what we're about to share with you would all be fake and made up. And what we're about to bring you, we believe that this is true. But I'll quickly tell you, and this show is going to go a little bit long tonight, so I appreciate you all sticking with us. I will tell you that when we jumped in and started investigating this, one of the first things that we came across was a very strange comment on a YouTube video that the news had put up. And might have been WFLA down here in Florida or Fox 13 or something, but the YouTube video was titled 8 Unsolved Amber Alerts. And there were 7 girls and 1 boy. And of course, the 1 boy was Zachary Bernhardt. And we're reading through the comments, and a guy with a YouTube channel called Leberg, Leburg, Leberg, made a comment, and he said, the boy is now 22, he's a man, or he's an adult. Struck me very, very weird. Like, why would he do that? So I click on his YouTube channel, and this guy apparently is in Canada. That's where the channel was created. And then I'm thinking, why would somebody in Canada be looking at a news clip from a Tampa Bay area news organization about missing kids? Didn't seem to match up. Like, that's so random. I mean, how many of us just sit home? We're like, I wonder how many kids are missing in Toronto, Canada right now. Let me look at some local news reports. Doesn't make sense. And so I go to the guy's channel, And he's got playlists on his channel, right? On YouTube, you have playlists. One of them was like delicious chicken recipes, right? Okay, that's normal. One was a playlist of parodies making fun of Trudeau, who is the socialist guy up in Canada. And then he had a playlist with one song on it. And the song was Gloria by Laura Branigan. Now, some of you younger people out there go, what the heck is that? But the song Gloria by Laura Branigan, I think it was back in the 70s or 80s. I remember it growing up. But I was like, why would I have a playlist with one song on it? That's kind of weird. And then I listened to the song. And some of the lyrics were very, very impactful to me as it relates to Zachary and the stuff that we had found out thus far. Lyrics like, if everybody loves you, how come nobody's calling? I think they know the alias that you've been living under. Can you feel your innocence slipping away? But you really don't remember, was it something that they said, or was it just the voices in your head? Very strange. Now, the song apparently is about a woman who works the streets, okay? But when we heard that, I was like, man, if this guy is connected to Zach's disappearance somehow, and he's got that song on that playlist, that one song on a playlist with lyrics like that, it needs to be looked into. So Protect Your Children started running ads about Zachary all throughout Florida. And we quickly realized that Leburg, Leburgh, could be a play on the town name of Leesburg. Leesburg. Leesburg is not far outside of Orlando, where a lot of Zach's family lives or had lived. In fact, his mother lives in Orlando now. So we ran ads in and around Leesburg and other places in Florida about Zachary missing. And I kid you not, 2 days after we started running the ads, we went back to that channel and that playlist was gone. That song Gloria was taken off his YouTube channel. Very, very strange. The other two playlists still there, but the Gloria song gone. And we know that those ads went everywhere throughout Leesburg. We covered the whole darn town, the whole city. And then the playlist was gone. Very strange. Tried to reach out to him on YouTube via comments. No response, no reply. I don't think the guy's posted anything ever since. Gloria by Laura Branigan. Very strange, the lyrics as it relates to Zach missing. That was just the first thing that got us going. And then the news came of this disturbing picture. This is a picture of a blonde-haired bound boy, which was found in Colorado, which a lot of people automatically thought, well, it looks a lot like Zachary, just the hair is a little bit different, a little longer. But you can clearly see the hands are bound, and those pine needles in that picture are not native to Florida, so they were able to figure out that that was Colorado area. This was found in a parking lot in Colorado. Police were never able to identify who the boy was in the picture. They showed it to Zach's family. And after a close examination, they looked and they said, it's not Zachary. So that was a relief. But very strange to see that. As Marie points out here, someone who actually met him in 2016. This guy here that we're about to show you, he is dead now. His name is Timothy Elfman. Timothy Elfman in 2016, all right, lived right over here on Broche Road in Orlando. This was the house. And there was a YouTube channel that did a video about Zachary. And the owner of that YouTube channel had a friend that he used to work with as a security guard at Lockheed Martin in Orlando. And the story goes that the security guard was able to do construction projects on the side. And this guy, Timothy Elfman, wanted his house over here on Broche Road. He wanted to turn this back portion of the house, the garage area here, he wanted to turn this into a living space, which we understand it now is. So the security guard was going to come and start building this for him and work on it with him. Security guard states that on occasions when he went there to help out, that Timothy Elfman, this guy, introduced him to someone named Zach. Now, this is 2016. This is 16 years after Zach went missing. Okay? So he says, let me introduce you to Zach. He helps me out around here. He stays with me on and off. So the guy meets Zach. No big deal. They're working on the construction stuff, whatever. Timothy Elfman reportedly says to the guy, hey, do you smoke marijuana? At first, security guard says, nah, I gave that up. And After some pressuring, he decides, yeah, I'll go ahead and smoke with you. And Timothy Elfman, this guy here, said that Zach could get them some good sativa, which is a form of marijuana. So Zach gets on his phone and he calls his contact and he gets the drugs on the way to the house over here at Broche Road in Orlando. So the security guard talks to Zach and says, hey, well, Zach says to the security guard, why don't you put me in your phone as a contact for a future, if you need to get high again, just let me know. I can get it for you. The security guard says that he went to put Zach's number in his phone. Turns out he had a couple of the Zachs in his phone. So he asked this Zach, what's your last name? And he says that this Zach told him that his name was Bernhardt, Zachary Bernhardt, and then quickly tried to recant it and say, oh, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. Security guard says to him, well, what do you mean? Why not? And Zach didn't say anything more about it after that. Okay, so if we're to believe the security guard, Zachary Bernhardt was staying with this guy, Timothy Elfman, who had some shady past. We looked him up. He did have an arrest and conviction for what they call, he was trying to set up a meeting with a prostitute, among other things. So the security guard basically didn't think more about it. He let it go and went on back to do the work. Well, a couple years later, 2018, he sees the investigation discovery show called About a Boy. It was on a replay. He sees it, recognizes the name Zachary Bernhardt. He calls the Clearwater Police Department and he says, hey, wait a minute. I just saw this investigation discovery thing, and that Zachary Bernhardt, I met him. He was living with Tim Elfman over on Broche Road in Orlando just a couple of years back. Well, he gets a call from a detective, and then they played phone tag, and that was the end of it. No police came to the security guard's house. They never followed up with him. But let me tell you something. This guy right here, Tim Elfman, he's dead. And you know when he died? 6 days after the police were called. His obituary states it. So the police are called on this guy. And 6 days later, he's dead. We don't know how he died. Can't get that information. Family only. All it says is he died unexpectedly. 2018, March of 2018. 6 days after the police were notified about his connection to Zachary Bernhardt. Now remember, we're talking about 16, 17, 18 years after Zach went missing. Now remember, 6 days before the eviction, or after the eviction notice for Leah and Zach, 6 days after that, Zach went missing. And then 6 days after the police are called, this guy ends up dead. Kind of strange coincidence, wouldn't you think? And then you want to add to that, and check this out. In 2017, look at the date, December 22nd, 2017, and I remember this candidly, very vividly. Florida Department of Law Enforcement reissues the Amber Alert for Zachary Bernhardt. Now, this does not normally happen. So, December 22nd, 2017, 17 years after he went missing, they reissue the Amber Alerts, all the billboards, all the phones. Whoop, 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 Amber Alert. Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that? They usually do that because a credible tip or a sighting or perhaps someone that they think knows more about the case or is involved in the case is now back in the area of the kidnapping. And so they try to basically scare them by like plastering it all over the place again, saying like, hey, we didn't forget. 17 years later, here's the Amber Alert again. Now, what's very strange about that is that Leah, and again, we're not accusing people of anything here. Leah had moved away, we know this, after Zach went missing. She got married, changed her name. Leah ended up moving to Hawaii, to Kailua, Hawaii, on the island there. And she stayed there for many, many years with her husband, who was military. And then in December of 2017, yes, I said that correctly, December of 2017, guess who moves back to Florida? Leah. Leah and her husband buy a house in Orlando in December of 2017. The same month that this Amber Alert was reissued. Does that tell you something right there? And then just a few short months later, in March of 2018, Timothy Elfman, who Zach reportedly was staying with, he's dead. Is there not a cover-up going on here? Very, very strange. And here's the kicker. And again, we're not accusing, but Leah ended up moving less than 15 minutes away from where Tim Elfman lived. Orlando's a pretty big place. And there were sightings of Zach staying with Tim Elfman and also staying on and off with we'll leave it at an unknown family member in the North Orlando area over the years. This leads credence to the fact that maybe some family members may know where he's at and may know that he's actually okay, but they're all keeping a big secret in order to protect each other. Now, again, we don't know that for certain, but it certainly seems that way. And if that's not enough, we ain't got time to get into everything tonight, but I encourage you to go to our website and click on Zachary Bernhardt Missing. Do that tonight or tomorrow when you have time, and you can see the summary video that we have. There's about an hour long, and it goes into more detail about all this stuff. Did you know that we found somebody living in Kailua, Hawaii at the same time as Leah with the first name Zach and the last name Hansen, which is Leah's married name? And this person is the same age as Zachary, lived in the same town as Leah. In fact, 8 minutes away from where Leah and her husband lived. Well, that's kind of strange. Bunch of coincidences there. Have not been able to find that person since then. Social media looking all over the place. But some of the addresses that we're able to locate for this person that was in Kailua, Hawaii, may actually line up with this gentleman right here in this picture, wearing the Oregon Ducks shirt. This was a man who was seen in Mexico. Look at that face. Long face, same smile, the ears, the long nose. Very similar to Zachary Bernhardt. This guy told people in Mexico, and we communicated with tons of people down there, that he was from California. And it just so happens that the person in Kailua, Hawaii also resided in California for a few years before he went off the radar. This guy said that he was trying to make his way to Monterrey, Mexico, because there was more English-speaking people there, and that he had to be careful, he told a couple of people that told us directly. He said he had to be careful because if the authorities found him, they would escort him back to America because people were looking for him there. And he did not want to go. He needed to stay away from America. He was staying in Mexico. Well, that's odd. Family's dead? Well, it's interesting because, of course, if it is Zach, his family isn't dead, but he may have been told that. What's further interesting is someone else online reportedly disputed this and was able to apparently prove that this person is not Zach. We're not putting a whole lot of faith in that because the person stopped communicating with us. They run an investigative kind of organization like we do. And they claim that they talked to this Mexico man's mom, and she said who that was, and that he was from California. And okay. No solid evidence of that, though. But the similarities are very striking. And then if you want to go further, you can look at the fact that Billy Joe, who is the aunt of Zachary, who was in the video we saw, happens to be married to a man who has family in Mexico. I mean, coincidence again. We're just saying he's Mexican. So there's just a lot of strange things. I want to play something here real quick before we get ready to close out on this. Zachary's grandmother, who was in the About a Boy video there, I want to play a clip for you that she said, and this always kind of stuck with us very weird, and we want to know what you think about it. She was being interviewed for a show or a news broadcast, and at the end of it, they asked her how she continues to go on every day without knowing where her grandson is. And she said, the way I see it is this: if you took my grandson to love him and raise him right, then that's good. But if you took him to harm him, then I hope he's dead. I hope he's with God. Very strange, right? How odd of a thing to say.
I'll be dead.
I want to replay this for you. Listen to this carefully.
It's hard to say.
Right here. If it wants to play. Of course, now it doesn't want to play when we need it to.
I live with this feeling that if you took my grandson to raise him and you raised him right, that's good. But if you took him to be mean, I hope he did. That's hard to say. But I hope he's up with God. I live with this feeling that if you took my grandson to raise him and you raised him right, that's good. But if you took him to be mean, I hope he did. That's hard to say. But I hope he's up with God.
I mean, how does that strike you? Yeah, Marie, he says no grandma ever. We understand the part about, a grandma thinking that if somebody's abusing him or hurting him, then she just wishes he was dead because she doesn't want him to be suffering. The part that bothers us is that the grandma stands with the mom 100%. This is Leah's mom. And she believes that this predator somehow, coincidentally, was watching Leah, saw her leave the house for a few minutes, found the door unlocked, got past the barking dog, went upstairs, got Zach, brought him out of the house without any screaming, hollering, nothing, without the neighbors who were up and outside seeing anything, got him into a vehicle and took him away. This is what grandma believes. And she says that if you took my grandson to love him and raise him right? What predator takes a kid to love them and raise them right? Does that make any freaking sense? That is the most nonsensical thing I have ever heard. Why did she say that? Does she actually think that some predator scumbag took her grandson to raise him right and to love him and take care of him, call him his own? That is a very odd statement to say. But I will tell you from what we've heard from members inside the family, and this isn't hearsay, this is what we were told, that grandmother and that aunt did not want Leah raising that boy. She kept getting evicted. She had drug issues, party issues, leaving him alone. There were times where she would disappear for 2 or 3 days at a time. And there were people in that family that said, Leah's not raising him right. She needs to get rid of him. And they offered to take him. The aunt and the grandma, they both say, hey, he can come stay with us and we can raise him right. And Leah said, hell no, he's my son. I'll raise him. And then 6 days after the eviction notice, Zachary's gone. It's kind of weird that grandma says if you took him to raise him right, then that's good. But if you took him to hurt him, I hope he's dead. That sounds a little odd to us. That sounds like somebody was supposed to take him and raise him right and love him because Leah couldn't. And that person turned around and hurt Zach instead and exploited Zach. Got him into the sex trafficking, stuff that's out there in Clearwater. And the police believe that that's what happened, that he got put into that sex trafficking industry. That's what it sounds like to us that grandma's saying. But what grandma would ever say that about somebody who comes and kidnaps your grandson in the middle of the night out of his mother's bed? That just does not jive. So yeah, we have a lot of questions. We think the family knows more, and they're not speaking about it. Now, real quickly, either Zach is okay somewhere, and some of the family knows where he's at, and he's living under an alias, and staying off the radar, nobody can find him, which could be why no one talks to the media no more. They don't do press conferences. His mom's not even on social media talking about him. Maybe they know where he's at. And now they can't come forward and say that because all these years they've been holding to the fact that he's gone. You might get in big trouble for that. Or maybe they don't know where he's at. But maybe he was supposed to go with somebody that was going to take care of him. And that turned out to go sideways. And maybe grandma and the aunt and whoever else knew about it don't want to get in trouble. We're saying maybe. We're not accusing here. But this is the way people have to think. And, the police stopped investigating this. They're not doing anything anymore. But you reissue an Amber Alert 17 years after somebody disappears, you got a pretty good indication that child's still alive. And based upon Timothy Elfman and that whole thing with the security guard and Leah moving back to Florida and the person living in Hawaii in the same town as Leah, who, oh, by the way, also left Hawaii not long after Leah left. You got the grandma saying that. There's so much more to this case. And I will tell you one more thing before we close here in a few minutes. The mom of the second boy that was taken from that complex. Like I said, we had a show with her. You guys can find that in the podcast archives on our website, protectyourchildren.org. And did you know that she sued Savannah Trace Apartments? And she doesn't mind me sharing this. And we verified that their lawsuit was legit. She sued them because after Zachary apparently got taken from there were supposed to be security upgrades done. They were supposed to put cameras in. They were supposed to close one of the gates, the back gates, so that people could just drive through and drive out. They were supposed to make these upgrades in order to protect kids and stop this from happening again. Well, Savannah Trace never made those upgrades. And then her son got taken from the park in broad daylight at 5 years old by the man with the ice cream symbols on the truck with the black stringy hair. By the way, Tim Elfman, we're not accusing, and the man's dead, God rest his soul. Tim Elfman, when he was younger, had black stringy hair. Just saying. Weird coincidence again. The same person that Zach was seen living with in 2016 and 2017. Come on. So she sued Savannah Trace Apartments, and Savannah Trace, their lawyers argued this point. You ready? That they were not responsible because Zachary Bernhardt's kidnapping was not random. The complex said that they had good information that there was drug debt that was owed by Leah, and that there was a family member who arranged to take Zachary and get him out of the house in exchange for the debt that Leah owed. This is what Savannah Trace Apartments lawyers were bringing to court to defend themselves. Okay? That they had it on good information, that this was no random kidnapping, okay? That Leah and people in the family knew what happened to him. And did you know that the judge ended up siding with Savannah Trace, found that their argument held water, and the mom of the second boy lost the case? But the judge in the court found that there was some weight to what Savannah Trace was saying. That's very, very interesting. Now, we don't know all the details that came out, the names and all that. That's all redacted. But we know there was a court case. We found it in the files. We know that the judge dismissed the case in favor of Savannah Trace Apartments. That leads further to what one of the theories is. This was not some random stranger kidnapping, that this was something that was orchestrated to get Zachary away from Leah. Just the tip of the iceberg. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. It's been an hour and a half. Appreciate everybody that's been here tonight. Please go to our website, protectyourchildren.org, protectyourchildren.org. There's so much more to this case, and we don't want it to drop, okay? Go to protectyourchildren.org, click more, Zachary Bernhardt missing right here, okay? This is where all the information's at. All the stuff. All right? Protectyourchildren.org, Zachary Bernhardt missing. There's the story. And you scroll down, there's some videos that we did with the guy we mentioned earlier, who was the friends with the security guard. That whole story was told right here on these videos. As you can see, we were guests on his show. And this here is the summary of everything, almost everything that we've located and found in the last few years. It's on our website. It's also on our YouTube channel. If you go to the playlist that says Zachary Bernhardt. So please check that out. If you want to help us to locate Zach, we need your help. We need you to talk about it. We need you to share his picture, share on social media. We need you to like, subscribe, follow, all those things that helps the algorithm push this stuff out further. We are going to promote this podcast tonight. We're going to promote it out to tons of people. And if you can help us do that, we'd be greatly appreciative of that. ProtectYourChildren.org. Click on donate, tax-deductible donations. The more money we raise in the next couple of days, the further out we're going to push this. We're going to get this all over Florida and all over the places where we believe Zach might be, in hopes that he will see it and he'll know that he's loved, that he's cared for, and that we're not giving up on him, and that if he needs help, he can contact us in confidence, and we will help him. As an organization, we will help him. Zach needs to know that he's not alone. And if you can donate and help us to get this out there, we're going to advertise it. And of course, that costs money. So you can do that on our website, protectyourchildren.org. Thank you for that in advance. All right, Tricia, thanks for being on the show. Marie T in the chat. A few others. We got some on Twitter, some on YouTube, Facebook, all different platforms. Thank you for being here. It's been a long show, but please don't let Zach's memory fade like the police have. Let's keep his name out there. Let's keep his picture out there. Let's keep talking to people about it, asking questions. And like I said, if you can help donate so we can advertise this show to get it out there, please consider doing that. But until next week, this is Chris with Protect Your Children Incorporated. ProtectYourChildren.org. ProtectYourChildren.org is the website. We thank you for being here. Until next week, God bless and stay safe.